Hello, what's up guys? It's Will back once again for another fight card prediction. We are here for UFC Vegas 14. Paul Felder against Rafael dos Anjos was supposed to be Islam Makhachev against Rafael dos Anjos, and Islam got injured and Paul Felder's jumping in here on 5 days notice. Pretty crazy if you ask me. And a fight card, this fight card to me is it's fun, but I'm having a lot of trouble picking sides I want to pick. Honestly, I think there's a lot of kind of a lot of fights where I feel I should be on the other side, but I actually prefer the other side. It's such a weird card. Just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who reached out last week. Last week was a horrible week. I did not feel good. Still not feeling overly great, but I am a lifetime better than what I was late last week there. So getting better slowly but surely. But just thank you for everybody for reaching out, asking how I was, thanking me for getting the predictions out. It's no problem at all. Actually took my mind off some things for a little bit there. And if you're new to the channel, guys, please hit that subscribe button. We're not far away. I think we're like 75 subscribers away from hitting 4,000. If you can throw a thumbs up, it's always appreciated. The people that have did it so far, much appreciated. Just a little thing before I start talking some fights here. I've had some people kind of not moaning, but they just don't like the amount of ads. Guys, honestly, it's not my problem. Like, I am... I find out that for the first 12 to 18 hours, I can't adjust the ads on my video. And then from there, I can do it. So, bear with me. I will get them changed, because YouTube do put lots in. And I will get that sorted. I don't want to have loads of ads through the video where it's breaking the momentum of the card, or me speaking about the card. So yeah, my man Buffo on the beat. I was listening to some of his tracks there last week. Go check him out. Much appreciate him sticking by, and I spoke a little bit with him last week. But yeah, this is a weird fight card to me. This is really the spots where I'm into thinking that I quite like this guy, and then I've kind of flipped over, and there was people that I was going to bet that I've kind of moved across to the other side, and I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. I was kind of a little bit more contrite with my picks last week. Glover saved my ass. I had some good bets, I thought, and just ended up losing them. But Glover came through plus 200 and cashed me there and came through for a decent win there. So we're going to get started in here. I'll put timestamps when I can get the opportunity to do so. Don'Tale Mayes against Roque Martinez. Yeesh, low level heavyweights, where I was thinking, does Martinez have a chance? Probably does. And then you go and have a look at his physique and you're like, oh, dude, how are you? How are you a kind of a high level fighter? But in saying that, there's nothing wrong with having a bit of a kind of gut or anything like that. But you watch them, both guys are fairly low level, if we're being honest here. But both guys are in the UFC, so they've got the opportunity here. 2020, the kind of COVID year, they've got their opportunity. Mayes, we've seen a little bit on Dana White Contender Series. Roque came in there against Romanov and really kind of got out grappled, and Romanov you've seen as a very, very, very strong grappler and can do that to these kind of low level heavyweights. Not that I'm saying Romanov is fairly high level, but with guys similar level, he will get them down and he will be dominant with his top pressure there. Mayes to me here, I think if he could find a way to get to the ground, I think he's got big ground and pound to really kind of stop the fight. On the feet, Martinez throws some nice straights, can get a high kick up there, surprisingly for a big dude, and he can catch you with that. Wasn't overly impressed with what I've seen with his fights in Deep and some in Risen and so on, but gives his all. He's a hard-nosed kind of guy to fight. I was kind of thinking, sure, maybe pick Martinez as a pick here, and I'm just like, I can't do it. So I'm going to go Don'Tale Mayes to kind of get maybe a TKO finish via ground and pound in rounds 2 or rounds 3. Next up, Tony Gravely against Geraldo de Freitas. I think I'm going to go with the underdog here, and this was one of the fights I was checking out on Sunday, where I actually thought, right, I actually quite like Tony Gravely. I think the odds are, I wouldn't trust him at plus 187, I think he was at that point when I watched the fight. I think that's came down a little. And you've seen in his kind of UFC tenure, he's got a lot of wrestling ability, but he really kind of gasses. I think he uses up a lot of energy in doing so, but he can get the fight to the ground and look very aggressive in doing so. With his takedowns, he can move into different positions. His striking is something that I think needs a little bit of work, but it's something that it can kind of be behind what his grappling is. He's pretty much a grappler type fighter first. You see him against Ray Rodriguez in the Dana White Contender Series. That was a scrappy Ray Rodriguez, never really got into the fight there, but he used his takedowns and kind of moved into advanced position a couple of times there and got the TKO finish via punches there in the third. Then I thought he got a massive jump up in opposition against Brett Jones. Brett Jones to me is a top 15, fringe, maybe top 10 guy. The UFC let him go. He's now in Bellator, getting some good money from what I'm hearing. So fair play to Brett, and he's a guy that can beat up and coming fighters. Montel Jackson was another guy that he beat, and he was underdogs on both. I bet him in both those spots there. So yeah, but ultimately his gas tank kind of let him down in that fight, and his awareness of positions kind of caught him out, and then he got subbed in the third round there. De Freitas, to me, I've never been super high on him as a fighter, but I think he's the bigger dude here. He can also get takedowns. He's the black belt here. I think he's the better striker. I think he's more technical striker, I should say. I think the power may reside in the gravelly kind of side, but we haven't really seen all too much of that. He's going to try and grapple here. And I think De Freitas, I've seen some fights here where he reverses positions, he can get takedowns. I can see this being a close fight where maybe some of it is kind of popped against the cage there, where they're trying to take the fight to the ground. And I think it's going to be interesting if this hits the ground. I think if Gravely can get their established top position, I think he has an opportunity to win. I think if De Freitas can get into those positions where he can maybe reverse him in the cage and he can get takedowns, I think he's going to be more dangerous with his jiu-jitsu. So ultimately I'm going to lead and going with Geraldo De Freitas. I'm going to take my first dog of the night. I think this could be very, very close though. I think that if Tony can't establish that top pressure, I think that De Freitas could reverse him. He could get into positions of being a more dangerous guy in the ground. He won't hold position, unlike Gravely will. So I'm going to go Geraldo De Freitas via this. I'm going to go submission actually. Third round submission. Randa Markos against Kanako Murata. Murata's coming in over from Invicta, where she won the belt over there. Markos obviously is a girl that's been around the UFC for the longest time. She's mixing in wins and losses kind of all the time in fights and so on. But she's a girl that's been around and got a lot of experience in the big time here. And you've got Murata who's making the jump to the big time here. Markos, to me, she makes too many. She's kind of willing to. She's got bad fight IQ, first of all. I think she's a solid enough fighter, but she makes silly mistakes in points and fights. I mean, you just have to look at the Mackenzie Dern fight there. She kind of jumped into the guard of Mackenzie Dern, kind of like what Hannah Cyphers did. It's weird that they know she's super dangerous down there, but she still runs ahead and does it anyway. So it makes no sense to me, but she does it. But she's fought the far higher caliber opposition. I mean, Gadelia, Angela Hill to an extent, Rahibas, who's like a girl who's probably one of the bigger females coming through in the sport, and then Mackenzie Dern, who's still a little bit green, but she's very dangerous with the skill set that she has. Murata, to me, Japanese wrestler. I've seen her in the kind of Asian games. She placed there and medalled in that there, and she will get takedowns in this fight. I've got no doubt about it, and I think that the mistakes that Markos makes will give her the opportunity to do that, in my opinion. So ultimately, I'm going to pick greetings from Thailand. Hope you're well. Bleed the Bookies MMA. I hope you're very, very well, my man. Yeah, Murata, I'm just bringing up her record here, just when I was looking at that there. 11-1 record. I know she's been at Team Alpha Male. She's been getting her striking done with Kieran Fitzgibbons. There's another guy that's shown a lot of kind of promise with the kind of striking aspect with a lot of fighters. She's coming off of that win over Emily Ducot, where she obviously got the belt there. Liana Perosian is another girl that if you watch Kay Hansen fights, you'll recognise that there. So I think she's probably getting a jump up in caliber opposition as well. It's not a big jump, but I think with a skill set with like if it stays on the feet, then I don't like that aspect of it. But if Markos can maybe stop some takedowns, I don't really like that either. But I can see enough in Murata for me to get takedowns in this fight and win a decision. So ultimately, I'm going to go with Kanaka Murata in that one there. Markos curse, maybe, who knows. She's lost 2 in a row, so that streak might completely be gone now. So yeah. Bantamweight division. Sorry guys. Jose Alberto Quinones against Luis Smolka. again, another fight I come in here thinking, right, I think Smolka has got a lot of advantages, and I'm coming away from it thinking he really doesn't, in my opinion. I think he lands a little bit more on the feet. I think Quinones, I don't think he's super dangerous as a fighter. I think he's just a fighter who's, nothing really jumps out to him, in my opinion. He's not a strong grappler, he's not a strong striker, good guy that holds position, not a good jiu-jitsu guy, guy that gets takedowns. He's just a solid fighter that's may kick around in the UFC for a few years because he will win fights against the lower caliber opposition. You look at the people that he's beat, when he makes that step up, he gets absolutely drowned. But once he gets your Carlos Huachin, Teruto Ishihara, Diego Rivas, Joey Gomez, he wins these fights and he looks fairly dominant in doing so. To me, Lewis Smolka is a little bit up and down. I don't see him as being super dangerous either, except for on the ground when he can reverse position. He can ride the back very well. He can move to different positions on the ground. If they get to that spot, then Tekel could be in a little bit of trouble. But on the feet, I can see Smolka maybe landing a little bit more, but the more meaningful shots coming from Tekel. Like I say, I think he can get takedowns here. If this fight goes on a little bit longer, that's something I think I would try and use on Lewis Smolka, is takedowns and try and lay heavy on him. But obviously you have to be very, very careful with Smolka's ground game because he is very, very dangerous down there. I'm going to lean on the Tekel Quinones side, which coming into this week, if you would have told me I was picking Tekel against him, I would have probably said no. But I just think this is going to be a close fight, and I'm going to edge Tekel to win a very, very close split decision. I think that Lewis Smolka will give him opportunities to win big moments of this fight here, and I'm going to go with Tekel for the win. They're not super confident, obviously, in that spot, but ultimately to win the fight. So yeah, welterweight division, we've got Morono against Rhys McKee. Again, a fight I want to be confident in, and just can't be confident in Alex Morono. I think Morono's going to be the pick, but I've got a funny feeling that this could turn into a fight that Alex Morono makes a lot closer than he really needs to. I think that he's got path to victory in this fight here, but I kind of thought that with Brahimaj last week. I thought, right, come in here, try and get takedowns, try and get the submissions, and never even attempted a shot once. I think if he was to do that here, I think that you'd have a lot more success with Rhys McKee. On the feet, Morono kind of wades his shots a little bit more, where Rhys McKee, he's a little bit more of a sniper, very long, can throw nice long straight shots, but I think he's got a disparity in the ground game which you can take advantage of, and you've seen that with Hamzat. Hamzat does that, is going to do that to a lot of guys, so, and Rhys coming in there on, a week's notice. Can't take too much away from the kid, he got his opportunity being there. And now he's got his next fight here, and I can guarantee he's going to come back a better self than what he was in his first encounter in the UFC. I'm still not sold on Rhys McKee as a welterweight, I'll be honest. And you look at his body frame, he's very long, lean. I think if he was to be at the PI, I think they would say 155 is the division for you. But before he was in the UFC, there was some videos of him trying to cut weight to 155, which did not look good for the kid at all. So maybe he's making the decision on himself to fight at this division, which I'm just not sure. I think he'd have a little bit more success at 155 in my opinion with his size if he could work it right, but that's just my opinion. Like I said, Morono wades shots and he's not super technical. I think he's open to be countered, but he's very hard nosed. He's a tough guy to really kind of look good against, but he's coming off getting knocked out in 30 seconds back in February this year. You've got Khaos Williams coming there, absolutely blasted him with some power shots. I don't think that Rhys McKee's got the power shots there, but he's got the leverage to keep him at a distance there and maybe frustrate Alex Morono a little bit, where he comes in and he can get countered and put in his backside. But he should roll in this fight, in my opinion. I find it hard to really be concrete and really pick Rhys McKee. I know there's a couple of people out there that message me and they've got money down on Rhys McKee, which kind of surprised me a little bit, but I do think the odds are a little bit high because I think Alex Morono sometimes doesn't fight smart, but ultimately he's going to be my pick here. Hopefully he mixes it up. If he mixes it up, I think he has a lot of opportunity to win this fight here. Ashley Yoder against Miranda Grainger. You kind of got the boxer kind of against the grappler. You've got Yoder, who will kind of look to kind of be the spider monkey in the back. She will look to try and get into takedown positions and look to kind of take you to the ground and kind of ride position on there. Grainger's coming off that win over Hannah Goldie, and then the loss to who was it? Was it Lemos? I think it was. Yeah, it was Amanda Lemos, where she looked good. She's looking dangerous as Amanda Lemos, to be fair. So I'm interested to see kind of her going forward. 7-6 against 7-1 is the records here. And if you were to get on the Miranda Grainger plus money earlier on the week, I think that was a good spot to be in. Plus 110, plus 105. But now the kind of lines flipped where she's like minus 150 and Yoda's like plus 130, which to me, I think it's a pick-em fight, in my opinion. I don't see a hell of a lot between these girls. Yoda has fought the better caliber opposition. She's been competitive in those fights as well. But she's a girl that's not got the greatest record. She's not got the greatest skill set. But she'll beat fighters of this kind of caliber. Sayuri Kondo, Amanda Cooper. Once she kind of makes up that next level, your Mackenzie Dearns, your Markos, Lavinia Souza, who I think are a different level to who she's facing, and some of her wins, I should say. I've got no real kind of confidence in Miranda Grainger here, but if she can keep it standing, she's the better boxer. But it's just hard to be confident on either side. Like this is not a fight that I think all the fights in the card I would not bet is this one. I've got no real kind of lean in the fight, but you know what? I'll take a shot in the dog. I'll take a shot on Ashley Yoder, even though, like I say, I've got no real kind of confidence in the fight. So Ashley Yoder will be the pick in that one there. This one here, geez oh, Kay Hansen and Cory McKenna in the women's strawweight division. This was one of the fights I was going to lock in for a bet. I had it written down. I never watched any fights at that point, but it was the fight that I thought, right, I'm going to parlay Kay Hansen up. And I get into watching fights, and I pretty much watch probably the whole careers of these girls, because there's only like 6 fights or so on Cory's side and maybe 7 or 8 on Kay Hansen's side. Both girls super young, like 21 years old, so I'm a little bit surprised by the matchmaking, actually. I thought they would have went different ways, especially Cory making a UFC debut. Kay coming off a really impressive win there, where it was 1-1 in that fight, in my opinion. And it was just a close enough fight where Jinyu Frey could have stayed competitive in it, but could not stop the kind of takedown. And once Hansen got there, she showed she was the more superior grappler. I've kind of moved over to the Cory McKenna side, even though I think I don't know whether I've got a great read on this fight, because I feel there's going to be a lot of mistakes in this fight. I think we're definitely going to see two. I don't want to say green, because I don't think Kay's green when she's closing in on 10 fights. Cory is definitely a little bit more green on that side. Before this fight, I started looking into it, I was like, right, I like Kay. I think she's stronger. I thought she was bigger. She was actually smaller in this fight, so a little bit interesting in that. Both girls are pretty much predominantly submission grapplers. I've seen a little bit more of the striking of Kay Hansen more than Cory McKenna, but what I do like from Cory McKenna in this one, after she beat, I think, Victoria Demopoulos on the Dana White Contender Series, I'm not sure she should have got a contract, but Dana was feeling generous that night, and she's got her opportunity. I would have liked to give her a development deal, go through Invicta, get a couple of fights through there, but it is what it is. He's through in the big leagues here. And I think this is a winnable fight for Cory McKenna. The one thing what I like from Cory here, now she's based in the UK. She never came home. She stayed in America. She's at Team Alpha Male. I think she's been staying with Sarah McMahon from what I'm reading. She's literally moved in with her, training her all the time. She's been sparring with a lot of girls coming out of Team Alpha Male, Yan Zhaonan. She's been getting great looks. And like I say, if you've got Sarah McMahon, who's a really consummate grappler who will teach her many, many things, in my opinion. Kieran Fitzgibbon's another guy that he's been working with her striking. So I think she's going to start making big leaps if she stays at Team Alpha Male. I really do. And I see this fight I see it hitting the ground. I see both girls getting reversed. I think I see Hansen being a little bit stronger. I've seen them both in bad positions here. Where they both can get swept. They can both getting put bad positions. I think that Kay's a little bit more dangerous in my opinion with a submission grappling, but I think Cory might have more success with being in the top position and riding out large parts of the round, or larger parts of the round in that spot. And I think the betting line's a little bit wide, honestly. And I'm kind of contemplating a bet on Cory McKenna, which doesn't sit right, but I'm like, she's plus 190, I believe, here in the UK, still plus 187. And I think that should be. I think I do lean Kay Hansen as a favourite, but not by nearly a 2-1 size favourite, in my opinion. And I know there's some people out there that think the line should be higher. So that's interesting to me in fights like this. But just from what I'm seeing, I think that Cory McKenna and Kay Hansen are going to fight close here. I think on the mat it's going to be very, very close in some spots. And I'm going to take the dog in this one. I'm going to take a shot on Cory McKenna. I was kicking myself so badly for not betting her as an underdog against Demopolis. I woke up that Wednesday morning and I was so pissed on the way to work that I did not bet that fight. But it's what it is. I know a lot of people on Kay Hansen. I think she's got a lot of a good trajectory in the UFC. I think she can progress there, but both young fighters, both will make mistakes in this fight, in my opinion. And I see this riding out being a close one. If there's no finish, I see it being a kind of split either way. I'm going to go with Cory McKenna in that spot there. Wayne Duggar, my man, how are you? Hope you're well, brother. Moving on to a fight that was made this week. Brendan Allen was supposed to fight Ian Heinisch last week, got pulled out. Ian Heinisch had COVID, which sucked balls. And then Sean Strickland's decided, well, Brendan Allen's got himself a fight, and then they put Sean Strickland here at a catchweight. Really interesting fight. I've been going back and forward with this one. Ultimately, I'm going to lean with Sean Strickland. It's going to be my pick in this one. And pretty much what I said last week with Brendan Allen, he can make people, obviously he can grapple, but the pressure he puts on makes people gives them mistakes pretty much. And I've seen Sean Strickland make a couple of mistakes in the kind of grappling realms, but I think he's faced really good guys that have been grappling. I mean, your Usman, I thought actually did very well in that fight. Stopped some spots there where I thought Usman was going to get takedowns, and ultimately never. Because we know what I think what Brendan Allen's going to do here. I think he's going to try and work his striking, but ultimately look to get the fight to the ground. I think that's where he will be a more stronger fighter in this spot here. In my opinion, Sean's the more kind of technical guy, pretty long, pretty fast, good jab, can mix up with combinations. But Brendan Allen's no Jack Marshman where he's a kind of sitting duck, so he's not going to sit there and eat shots. He's going to be smart. He's going to try and get into positions where he can get the fight to the ground. Looked into it, and I'm looking at the odds and they're 110 apiece, and honestly I think that's where the line should be. I think it's a very, very, very close fight. Fun fight, as Young's saying there. I'm going to lean on Sean Strickland. I was always pretty impressed with him going back before his accident, and I like the fact he's jumping in here so soon again against a good guy in Brendan Allen who's been surging through the UFC. But I'm going to pick Sean Strickland. Just hopefully he shuts his mouth, because I know that fight with Marshman, he was quick to the gun, he was hitting him off quick, but just stay in your lane and try and not be like that. I don't think he will be like that with Brendan Allen, because I think he's too dangerous of a guy to do that with. So Sean Strickland is my pick there. Not overly confident. If he was to move to a plus number, plus 110, it might kind of interest me maybe in a bet, but right now I'm going to pick Sean Strickland here. Eryk Anders against Antonio Arroyo. I don't know about you guys, but I've got zero confidence in Eryk Anders in any kind of fight in the UFC right now. You watch his previous fights and I'm just like, I don't know whether the dude's he's maybe he peaked early and he was better in his early tenure in the UFC, or he was just maybe overhyped, because I don't know. Z, hope you're well. Looking forward to kind of watching some of your stuff later on in the week there when I get the opportunity. Hope you're well though. I've just got no confidence at all in Eryk Anders in this spot, and I've been wanting to bet Antonio Arroyo all week, but there's something kind of throwing me off that spot as well. I mean, he's got 2 wins in his last 6 I should say. He had that beatdown kind of against Khalil Roundtree where he really got beat up. I did not see that performance coming, where Khalil really put him down like 4 times. Was slow to the punch there, was just behind in every facet there. Vinicius Moreira, I really don't take too much away from that, because I think he's been matched up with someone coming up. and he's just a guy that they can put UFC wins on other guys pretty much. Meerschaert, I think he was a little bit lucky to come through that fight, in my opinion. I thought that when I watched that fight back, I was like, that's an Eryk Anders win, in my opinion. An Eryk Anders loss, sorry, in my opinion. And it was a Meerschaert. I kind of edged him slightly. Big power. I don't think he's super quick with that. I think that he is open to being countered, especially with the body kicks that Arroyo kind of throws now. He might try and time this and try and get takedowns off of it. But there's just, to me, there's no urgency in it. I got a little bit lucky in the past because I bet Eryk Anders against Tim Williams. And you look at that fight, and he was clearly down in that fight, in my opinion. And then caught him with a head kick in that spot there. And then he went into these run of fights there. Got a big jump up against Thiago Santos where he jumped in there in the main event, I think, on very short notice, like the week after, was it? No, a month after. Lost to Elias. Elias just ran round outside and was really just pot shotting him. Khalil Roundtree, like I say, got smashed up. Then the Meerschaert one, I still don't know how he got that decision. But that's the judges. If you leave it in the hands, they will do that. Then the Jotko one, he was just getting hit first and then not getting hit back, and he was just outstruck in that one there. Arroyo, to me, very dangerous with his kicks. His hands not so much, but still, if he throws his kicks and then follows up with punches, then he could be devastating, and vice versa as well. I prefer being on the Arroyo side here. I can't have any confidence in Eryk Anders, and I know there's a lot of guys I've seen just peeking through Twitter that are on the side of Antonio Arroyo. I'm a little bit hesitant, and I don't know why, because like I say, you can probably hear the way I'm speaking about Eryk Anders, I've got no real confidence in the guy. But I'm trying to think maybe he can take this to the ground, but Eryk Anders doesn't really establish kind of takedowns. The last time he had them was in the Thiago Santos fight, where I think he knew he was outgunned on the feet, and he tried to take the fight to the ground. We've seen that Thiago Santos can be taken down a lot. I'm going to pick Antonio Arroyo. I'm kind of ranging on a little bit too much about that fight, but I need to decide whether I'm going to bet this fight. There's so many fights in this card where I want to bet one side and haven't did it. I want to bet like McKenna. I want to bet maybe Teco Quinones, De Freitas, all dogs. So I need to make my mind up and pull the trigger, because that's what I've been doing lately, is doing that and doing it very well. Julian Marquez against Saparbeg Safarov. I've got Marquez in this one here. I've got, like I say, I've got no real confidence in. Hi Ginge, hope you're well. I'm getting better. I'm getting there. I'm slowly but surely getting there, my friend. Thank you very much for asking, though. Saparbeg Safarov is just that, comes forward, slings bombs, looks to try and tie you up a little bit, take you to the ground, which we've seen in some previous fights, but not super technical. He is super hittable himself. And you've got Marquez, who's been out for, I want to say, 2.5 years. And he's had a barrage of injuries. A guy who's got some big power himself, but can also be hit. Kind of came to prominence with the Phil Hawes win, where he kind of got through the initial storm of Phil Hawes, and then came into the second round. Phil Hawes was kind of gassed and caught him with a beautiful head kick, put him down there. Then he had his first fight against Darren Stewart, got a beautiful choke in that one there. Alessio Di Chirico, very, very, very close fight. I thought he was a little bit unlucky in that one, but I did kind of side on the Di Chirico side. I think I bet him that night, if I remember, as well, so kind of got away with a little one there. So he has been out since when? June 2018, so he might have a little bit of ring rust. Saparbeg Safarov, like I say, is very open to counters, open to kind of grappling exchanges, even though he's predominantly a grappler as well. Not looked into this one all too much, honestly. There was other fights in the card that were kind of piquing my interest a little bit more. I'm just going to kind of throw it out there and go with Julian Marquez. I think he knocks out Saparbeg Safarov. Plus the fact that he's got James Krause, who I really believe in him as a head coach, actually. I think he's going to be a really good, as good a fighter as he is, to be a head coach like that. It's good a head coach. It's big things coming from James Krause in the kind of coaching ranks. But like I say, I've not looked into that one too much, but I'm going to go Marquez for the win. Abdul Razak Alhassan against Khaos Williams. Violence, violence, violence. I got burned very badly against Abdul Razak Alhassan, and I noticed that against Manuel Aziz. I realised that very quickly at the weigh-ins. and I was like, dude's coming out of shape. He's not going to have like a full 15-minute gas tank here. But he's always got that power, and he can change the stream of a fight in one single punch. And I'm not one of these guys that puts max bets down all the time. I did it on Abdul Razak Alhassan and got burned badly, which has scared me off ever since, and I'll probably not make one anytime soon. It's around about the same kind of odds that I got in the Lazzez fight. Lazzez is a kind of completely different fight to Khaos Williams, where Lazzez will fight at distance, very savvy, very good with his angles, his footwork, and fight well at distance. Where Khaos Williams, to me, looks like he's kind of got a lot of power as well. You've seen that in some of his fights in the regional scene, where very powerful dude will come forward, and that could be the type of fight that Abdul Razak is kind of looking for, and it kind of plays into his hand. Now, Alhassan had a bit of a break. He had a lot of stuff outside the cage going on. I'm interested to see how he looks at the weigh-ins. If he looks in decent shape and he looks ready to go, makes weight comfortably, the confidence in me will probably go a little bit higher, where I'm probably going to look at a bet of him knockout in the first round, inside the distance, whatever I can find. He could become a parlay piece of that. I'm still not sure with this fight. I think I've kind of been scared off a little bit. Khaos Williams, like I mentioned earlier on, he ran through Alex Morono, who's a vet in the UFC, smashed him up inside 30 seconds there. Seen a little bit of his kind of grappling outside. Nothing to write home about. You've got the judoka and Alhassan, who's got, I don't think he'll be able to kind of take him to the ground. To me, I think Alhassan has more weapons. I think he has low kicks. I think he has straight shots. I think he can throw combination strikes. But he's a guy that can just berserk you, come forward and hit you with big shots. Yeah, Alhassan is one of my favourite fighters to watch in the UFC, bar none. I'm going to pick him first round knockout here. And the main event, Paul Felder against Rafael dos Anjos. Dos Anjos moving back down to 155, which at this point in his career, I don't know whether that's a good thing, making that cut down again. It can't be good. Moved up to 170. That wasn't a great experience for him up there. He had a couple of good moments, obviously. Wins over Robbie Lawler, Kevin Lee, who was coming up from 155, obviously. Went over Neil Magny. So he's beaten some decent guys, but once he was kind of thrown to the big boys up there, your Colby's, your Cameroons, Leon Edwards, Keza was coming up from 155, big dude. What's up? Just my 2 cents. Hope you're well, brother. And now he's making the move back down. And I think we all know what the UFC was trying to do with him against Islam Makhachev, because it was a kind of tailor-made opponent for Islam, considering what Dos Anjos has faced in the past couple of years with big, strong, grappling guys up at 170. So then you've got Paul Felder jumping in here, 5 days notice, which is interesting to me because I was there when Paul Felder was trying to make weight in Glasgow against Stevie Ray, like to 155, and I've got a picture on my phone, which I asked him, could I take the picture? And he said, yeah, and he looked horrific. His body, he didn't look horrific, it looked so bad to kind of watch him there. He was wanting some, he was just wanting to put some energy and fuel into his body, and he couldn't do it. And then, like, the difference with him and the day before weigh-ins to the day, like, after the fight, it's night and day, and it kind of shows you how much these guys kind of put into it. But from what I hear, he's been training for the triathlon, 5 days notice, if he can make the weight properly, because I thought this was going to be a catch weight, like 165, absolutely. And then it was 155, I was like, damn, so he's not coming in here fight ready. But when you get someone like Paul Felder, he's a go-getter anyway, he will bite down in the mouthpiece, throw heavy shots. The guy's got a heart of a lion. I kind of thought he was maybe, and I know you can't take too much after a fighter when they have their fight with Dan Hooker. It was right after the fight there. He thought that might be his last one because he didn't like going away from his daughter and so on. So I'm interested to see maybe if coming in here with a fresh mind, not having the fight in mind there, that maybe all the kind of pressure's off his shoulders. He's just going to come in here, give it everything he's got, and see if he can hurt someone like Dos Anjos. I've seen people telling me, is this max bet on Rafael dos Anjos? No, guys. Paul Felder's not a guy that I would ever go max bet against because he's so dangerous, and I'm just not liking the fact that Dos Anjos is coming back down here, even though I do think this is a better stylistic matchup because I think he's got more weapons across the board than what Felder has. But I'm still not super confident. I'm going to sit back and watch this and enjoy it and just appreciate Paul Felder for jumping in on such short notice. But my pick's going to be Dos Anjos. I think he can mix it up. I think that he can use leg kicks. I think he can make Felder bite a little bit in his kicks, catch him with combination striking, and then kind of piss off kind of Felder a little bit, and then maybe be able to counter and get some takedowns and kind of win the fight through that. So Dos Anjos is the pick. Not super confident. Sit back and watch that one. But that's my picks for this week, guys. I appreciate you for sticking around. I've got like 30 people in the chat there, which is always much appreciated for sitting around for, 35, 36 minutes. If you've been around that time, much respect to you. Thank you to the guys that have given me a thumbs up. Much appreciated. If you're new, hit the subscribe button. And if there's any more late thumbs up, it'd be much appreciated. We're back next week for, I think someone asked about Brendan Allen and Sean. I'm edging on the Sean Strickland side, I should say, but it's hard to be super confident in either side there, honestly. How's the dog? The dog is fine, Ginge. It's doing well. She's doing well. So yeah, guys, until next week. I think we're back for a pay-per-view next week, aren't we? Let me see. Is it Figueiredo against Alex Perez, UFC 255, Valentina against Maya. Until next week, guys, all the best. Take care. I hope you win your bets. DraftKings is going to be lit this week because there's so many back and forth fights that I like. So I'm going to be going heavy on that. All the best. Take care. Thank you.